So today I'm going to talk about a quilt that I finished on my quilt retreat with my guild. I shouldn't say finish, I started it on the retreat, finished it at home. I'd say it probably was like around 10 hours. This is my first time using a big panel and I really had fun with it. It was a good change of pace to kind of like have that big jump start with the panel in the middle. And then I loosely based it off of the free pattern for this panel that's provided by Riley Blake on their website, and with my own improvising. So I started out with the panel and just the thin pink border, and on their free pattern on the Riley Blake website, if you look up this fabric line is called Forever Neverland. So it's just the Forever Neverland panel pattern. They had the dark blue on the bottom, this border, like asymmetrical sort of design. And that was like what I really liked. It's like, oh, when I bought this fabric, it was kind of improvised. Not improvised, it was spontaneous. I was ordering something else from a shop online and I saw the Peter Pan fabric and I was like, my kids would love that. So I didn't plan for the quilt, as I usually don't. I usually pull from my stash. So I had the panel, and then I have 4 of the fabrics from the collection. One of them, there was only a fat quarter left. The others were half yards. So it kind of forced my hand to get creative with my stash. So I have used those 4 patterns, those 4 fabrics from the collection. Then I mixed in a good amount of Grunge by Moda. You'll see like this, it's like a rosy pink with some lavender in it. I wanted to pull some of the purple out and like the pink from the mermaids. My daughter loves this quilt, so I kind of knew more be for her than for my son. So I leaned more into like the pinks and purples to pull out those colors from the panel. And then I also mixed in, you'll see in the cornerstones, this is a Grunge with the stars on it, the kind of like twinkly asterisk stars. So I thought that would be really fitting for Tinkerbell. The Tinkerbell fabric that came with the collection, they almost look more like ballerinas. There's pink and purple in them, and I will show some close-ups. And then I mixed in, there's a little bit of the Plus Plus by Ruby Star, and just whatever pinks and purples. I don't use a lot of purple, so whatever I had in my stash, that's what I pulled. And then this, for the ocean, is not from the collection either. This is an Allison Glass fabric that I have in 2 different colors because I really love that fabric. And it has some of that lime kind of citron to match my cornerstones. And then the edges, I just strip pieced any of the Finding Neverland fabric that I had left. I cut to different widths and then mixed in some blenders. I have like a really light lime. I also have, this is like a Jen Kingwell. It's like a little lime green spiral and spiral square on a white background. And I really love the balance that came out with like the light blues, light teals, light lime, and then the Peter Pan fabric. And then I just kind of cut them random widths, strip pieced all of them, and then cut them all to like maybe 5.5 inches. And then my cornerstones. On the inside, these stars, that was directly from the Riley Blake pattern. I alternated my greens just to give it some interest. I kind of wish maybe I had one more star across the top, but I think it's well balanced. They're supposed to be staggered, so this one hangs to the left, to the right, to the left, and I really like the interest that adds. Just gives it a little variety. So that's it. I am really happy with how this came out. For the binding, I also leaned into Tinkerbell and did this lime green. The back is fleece. This is something I just had on hand. This is from my brother who used to sew hats and stuff, and it fit perfectly. So I was like, all right, saves me a trip to the store. it was meant to be. And I know we are in Florida right now. We don't really need like a super snuggly fleece quilt, but our next move is going to be a very snowy, cold place. So it'll be good to have a cuddly quilt. Um, as for the quilting, I thought let's dive in and do free motion quilting. It has been a while since I free motion quilted, and I've never really done a whole quilt with it on my TL18, and I absolutely loved it. This machine, the Juki TL18, the stitch regulation for the free motion quilting, I've heard people say that it's awesome for free motion quilting, but after doing it, I was so excited, and now I want to do more free motion quilting. So I did that for the center panel, and I mostly did loops and swirls, not really swirls, but like loop-de-loops. And then when I got near the plants, I just kind of went freestyle and tried to mimic the plants that we're seeing. Those ones were kind of hard, but each corner as I went around, I was more comfortable with it. And by the end, like I think this was my final corner, that one I was like, I just loved it so much. And then around the ship, I did some little waves to mimic like the water splashing up. So that was really fun, one of my favorite little sections. And then on the little border, I did some loops, kind of mimic like a vintage frame. And then as I went in to the borders, I switched to my machine with my walking foot and I didn't switch machines. You might be able to see better from the back. So this was from the book Walk, Jackie Jerrig, I think. So this is it's kind of like a zigzag. You go down, but then you use your reverse and go up and then cross over, reverse, down, reverse, cross over. And it's actually a really satisfying design. And it's nice to not have to pivot so much by using that reverse. So I was really happy with that. And the way it goes with the crosses and the angles of the stars. So I did that all the way around. And then on the final border, except for the cornerstones, I did just like a really wide wavy line. And then in the cornerstones, I don't love the way it turned out. In my head, it was a better look, but I did like a star, kind of mimicking the stars that are in here, and a little swirl in the middle. It's fine. I mean, you know, it matches the theme. It didn't turn out the way I wanted it to exactly, but you really can't even see it very well anyway. So we are our greatest critic, right? I love this quilt. I think it is so fun, and the balance turned out just how I wanted with the colors, and I'm really happy with it. I definitely recommend, if you have this panel or even a different panel, look on the Riley Blake website and look at their free pattern, because I thought it was really fun. It came together really quick. What took the longest were these stars, because they're like 1.5 inches, 2 inches maybe, for the half square triangles to build the star. And I think that's it. I can kind of show the back. I'll do some close-ups too, so that you can see up close. That gives you a better look at the free motion quilting. And what was actually really nice about the fleece really hides my stitching. So if you are familiar with free motion quilting, sometimes if you go around a curve too fast, you get on the back what looks like little eyelashes. I don't have any of that on here, and I think that is definitely a testament to the TL18 that its stitch regulator works really well. But as someone who's like, I was pretty rusty on my free motion quilting, this is the first one I'd done that way in a while, I was nervous on how my stitches were gonna look on the back, but nothing gross, nothing like that I had to, seam rip out and start over. So I'm really happy with it. I couldn't tell you the size because I did improvise. It's not quite a twin, but it's just big enough for her bed, and it's way bigger she's in a toddler bed, so it's way bigger than she needs it to be, but she'll be able to grow into it. And I think it would fit fine on a twin, but it's not gonna hang over the edges. I'd say the biggest thing I had difficulty on, which I want to close up on, is what to do about the faces because I didn't want to stitch over them. So I ended up kind of just going around and avoiding the face. Wendy was the one I had the most fun with, and I saved her for the end, so I added this stitching for her dress, and then like a little bit around her headband that got a little crazy. But that was really fun. I'm glad I kind of waited on that one. But I did want them to be secure, but I also didn't want to stitch all over their bodies and kind of mess with the design. So yeah, here's a little close-up. You can see I had fun with it, but wasn't stressed about it looking perfect. Tinkerbell, I tried to do a little magic around her. There's this ocean waves I talked about. That was one of my favorite little spots. So there you go. Hope it gives you some inspiration. That's it. So let me know if you have this fabric design. If you have this fabric line, let me know what you end up doing with it. And happy sewing!